Hi, I'm Bridget, the OT, and I've been asked to do a little bit of learning on sensory plans. So I have entitled this Sensory Plans, What Are They and What Else Can We Do to Support Our Young People? So what is a sensory plan? The definition is a comprehensive personalised framework designed to address a child's specific sensory needs. It's typically developed by professionals such as occupational therapists in collaboration with parents, teachers and caregivers. I also use information that we find on the EHCP because quite often that's detailed information about the sensory needs of our young people, and I might also talk to the social worker or anybody else associated with the young person. And the purpose of a sensory plan is to create a structured approach to help a young person manage their sensory processing difficulties in daily life. So it's tailored to their unique sensory profile. So it might have the child's sensory needs, their sensory sensitivities, and their sensory seeking behaviours. So we look at scheduled activities throughout, which are integrated throughout the child's day or the young person's day. These are proactive and preventative measures that help the young person regulate before sensory overwhelm occurs. And it might include things like scheduled deep pressure activities, quiet breaks in a calm corner, some adjustments to the environment, so reducing light or noise or things like that. So let's have a look at this young person's sensory plan. So it's got here what is a sensory plan, and then underneath that it's got the, let me just put my little boop. It's got their likes, so things that you can talk about or provide activities around. This young person likes football, piano, you might play some piano music, and likes being on the computer. Dislikes, so that is things to avoid, that triggers which might dysregulate the young person. And then we've got some simple general strategies: keep language simple, give time to process, use repetition, modelling and demonstration. So these are general strategies that we want to use with all our young people. And then we've got the senses and recommendations. So you can see here in bold, this young person is hypersensitive to touch. So what does that mean? That means that instead of giving them a woolly type jumper when you're helping them get ready in the morning, you would give them softer, maybe loose fitted clothing. You might cut out any tags and use firm and predictable touch. So this young person might become dysregulated if they have an unexpected touch that might upset them and dysregulate them. Yeah, lots of other things. The student needs proprioception, so you might play tug of war, you might give a theraball massage, carry heavy items. So if you're a teacher, that might be that you get the student to go and collect you a ream of paper from somewhere, and that will help them feel regulated. So these are activities that you need to, if you're supporting a young person, you need to do. Provide and support and facilitate throughout the day, throughout the young person's day. So let's have a look at something else. So we use the zones of regulation, which is a framework designed to help young children and adults develop self-regulation skills by categorizing emotions and states of alertness into 4 color-coded zones. It's widely used in schools, therapy settings and homes, particularly for children with autism and ADHD and sensory processing challenges. So the zones aim to improve emotional awareness. So our aim is to support the young person, recognise what they're feeling, self-control and problem solving, and so we'll support them with sensory strategies that will solve their problem of if they're feeling dysregulated. So what's a sensory strategy? The definition of sensory strategies are specific techniques, tools, or activities used to address a sensory need in the moment or as part of an ongoing support. And these are part of overall sensory plan, but can also be used informally as needed. And the purpose of sensory strategies are meant to provide immediate or situational support for sensory regulation, either to calm the child, help them focus, or manage sensory challenge. So the difference between these sensory strategies and the sensory plan are: the sensory plan is a preventative measure. These are things that we do to help the young person feel regulated throughout the day. We've given them some proprioception. We've got them to chew something crunchy, so they're feeling regulated. They've got the sensory, they've sought some sensory seeking behavior, and that's been done, and hopefully now they feel regulated. If they arrive at class or to an activity and they're now maybe in a different zone, and they're not calm and focused, we'll use these reactionary sensory strategies to help them feel calm. So they're tools and techniques to meet a sensory need. They could be fidget toys, weighted blanket, things like that. And they're activities to help a child self-regulate or engage in a task. So a sensory strategy might involve giving a child a squishy ball to squeeze when they're feeling anxious, or allowing them to wear headphones during a loud assembly. It might be, today I saw a teacher give a young person who was dysregulated and very hot a glass of water, and that helped her to calm down. She had a drink of water, and it gave her space to breathe, refresh, and it gave her space. That is not in her sensory plan, but that sensory strategy is one of a general set of sensory strategies that you can use that will help your young person support them to feel regulated. Another sensory strategy, you might use playfulness. You might start blowing bubbles or doing a silly dance if they're feeling not focused and maybe dysregulated. But it might just be a mood, and so it's not necessarily a sensory problem. They're just in one of those moods where they need to be supported to come out of it. So that's the sensory strategies. And if we have a quick look at the zones of regulation, there are 4 zones. You can't see the green one in here. The green one is basically the optimal state of alertness and regulation, where a student will be feeling calm, focused, and ready to learn and interact. And so they're feeling happy, calm, content, focused. And a young person in a green zone is paying attention in class, they're following instructions or engaging well with peers. And to maintain this, we continue what we're doing, basically, continue effective strategies or routines. So we don't need to necessarily worry about a child who is in, or a young person who is in the green zone. Each zone represents a range of feelings and states and levels of alertness, and no zone is bad. So each is simply a reflection of how the individual feels or functions at that given moment. A child might be sad, and that might be appropriate feeling at that time, and so we will give them some options and some strategies that would hopefully help them feel calm. It's not going to get them out of their sadness. If they're, if it's an appropriate level of sadness, then that's okay, but we can be there to help them feel better. So how the zones are used, So we use these zones of regulations to teach emotional awareness. So our young people are taught to identify their emotions and recognize which zone they're in. So that's a really simple way of supporting young people to identify how they're feeling. We build a toolbox so they can learn strategies to move between zones effectively. For example, if they're in the blue zone, maybe they're feeling tired, we can offer physical activity or energizing music or a little dance to some fun music, and that hopefully will help them feel more focused and ready to engage in their learning. If they're in the yellow zone, they're feeling a bit silly, we can give them some breathing exercises or sensory fidget, something to fiddle with, and that will help them focus in. And if they're in the red zone, we might help them remove themselves from the environment, go for a walk, use a weighted blanket, or we might seek help from another adult. The goal is to empower our young people to independently monitor and regulate their emotions and energy levels. So the idea is that we are supporting them to understand how they can self-regulate in the future. This is a learning opportunity for our young people. The zones of regulation provide a simple visual way for young people to understand and communicate their feelings, and it also helps caregivers, teachers and therapists a chance to respond appropriately by offering targeted support and strategies for each zone. So I hope that's helped you a little bit. I'm just going to go over these general strategies which are on the sensory plans. Keep language simple, give time to process, do not use or remove, use a or the removal of a sensory diet activity as a consequence. So you can't say, I'm not giving you your weighted blanket because you've done X, Y, Z, because that's not within the child's or the young person's control. Information to be presented visually and verbally as appropriate. Use repetition, modelling and demonstration. Ensure that it's available and easy to request sensory strategies both visually and verbally. Offer check-ins throughout the activity. So if you're doing particularly proprioceptive touch, or if you're using a TheraBrush on their arms, check that it's okay. Are you still okay with this? Is this okay? And when appropriate, staff can partake in the activity. So if you're doing you're encouraging your young person to do something fun throughout the day, join in as well, because that's a really lovely way of you connecting with them. Okay, so I hope this has been useful. If you've got any questions, please feel free to email or call me and I will answer you. Thank you for listening.